Vallabha Jaya Girivardhare Jaya Girivardhare Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhare Jaya Girivardhare Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhare Jaya Girivardhare Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhare Jaya Girivardhare Jaya Yasodhanandana Jaya Vrajajana Ranjana Jaya Yasodhanandana Jaya Vrajajana Ranjana Jaya Yasodhanandana Jaya Vrajajana Ranjana Jaya Yasoda Jaya Vrajajana Ranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Kunja Vihari 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 Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhare Jaya Girivardhare Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhare Jaya Girivardhare Jaya Yasodhanandana Jaya Vrajajana Ranjana Jaya Yasoda Jaya Vrajajana Ranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravana Hare Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya, Radha Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gauranita Jaya 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 Gauranita 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 Jaya Gauranita Jaya Gauranita Jaya Gauranita Gauranita Jaya Gauranita, Jai Jagannath Jai Baladevo Jaya Subhadra, Jai Jagannath Jai Baladevo Jai Subhadra, Jai Jagannath Swami Jai Jagannath Jai Baladevo Jai Subhadra, Jai Jagannath Swami Jai Jagannath Jai Baladevo Jai Subhadra, Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me, Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me, Jaya Radha Vallabha Shri Radhe, Jaya Radha Vallabha Shri Radhe, Jaya Radha Vallabha Shri Radhe, Jaya Radha Vallabha Radhe, Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe, Jaya Narasimha Jaya Narasimha Jaya Narasimha Jaya Narasimha Jaya Narasimha Jaya Simha Jaya Narasimha Jaya Narasimha Jaya Prahlad Maharaj 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 Jaya Prahlad Raja Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Guru Deva 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 Guru Deva Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Grantharaj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanasalakaya Sakshurvanmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gata Mahyam Dathati Swapatantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati Gaura Bhakta Brinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yakrupadamaham vande Shri Gurum Dhinatharinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutirayet. Shinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam Hridayantasto hi abhadrani vidunoti suhritsatam. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, chapter 5. The title of the chapter is Prahlad, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu, text number 54. Yadha Acharya Pravritho Saparavritho Grahamedya Karmasu Vayasasyai Balakai Tatra Sopahuta Kritakshanai. Yadacharya Paravritho Yadacharya Paravritho Grahamedya Karmasu Grahamedya Karmasu Vayasyair Bhalakaistatra Vayasyair Bhalakaistatra Sopahuta Kritakshanai Sopahuta Kritakshanai. Yadacharya Pravritho Yadacharya Pravritho Grahamedya Karmasu Vayasyair-bhalakaistatra Sopahuta kritakshanai Yadacharya paravrito Grahamedhyai karmasu Vayasyair-bhalakaistatra Sopahuta kritakshanai Yadacharya paravrito Vidisa karmasu Vayasyair-bhalakaistatra Soka moka kritakshanai Yadacharya pradhavito Grahamediya karmasu Vayasyair-bhalakaistatra Sopahuta kritakshana Yadacharya paravrito Grahamediya karmasu Vayasyair-bhalakaistatra Sopahuta kritakshanai. Matajis. Yadacharya paravrito Diya karmasu Vayasyair-bhalakaistatra Sopahuta kritakshanai. Yadacharya paravrito Grahamediya karmasu Vayasyair-bhalakaistatra Sopahuta kritakshanai. Yada, when Acharya, the teachers, Paravrita, became engaged, Grahamedhya, of household life, Karmasu, in duties, Vayasyai, by his friends of the same age, Bhalakai, boys, Tatra, there, Saha, he, Prahlad Maharaj, Apahuta, called, Kritakshanai, obtaining an opportune moment. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When the teachers went home to attend their household affairs, the students of the same age as Prahlad Maharaj would call him to take the opportunity of leisure hours for play. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In tiffin hours, the hours when the teachers were absent from the classroom, the students called Prahlad Maharaj, wanting to play with him, as will be seen from the following verses. However, Prahlad Maharaj was not very much interested in playing. Instead, he wanted to utilize every moment for advancing in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, as indicated in this verse by the word Kritakshanai, at the opportune moment when it was possible to preach about Krishna consciousness, Prahlad Maharaj used the time as follows. When the teachers went home to attend their household affairs, the students of the same age as Prahlad Maharaj would call him to take the opportunity of leisure hours for play. So we are concluding this chapter, next 2-3 slokas, where we are discussing about Prahlad Maharaj and how he faced all the different teachings, whatever he learned from his what the father asked, and then Prahlad Maharaj replied, and father got very angry. And then, so here, the Chanda Amaraka, so they are just away, attending to some of the household things. So the boys are asking, now this is the time for to play. So this is very standard behavior. So it's nothing surprising in this actually. This like the boys want to get some time, and so they can just they can play. So Shankaracharya in Bhaja Govindam, he says one nice prayer: Balastava Krita Sakta, Tarunastava Taruni Sakta, Vriddhastava Chinta Magna, Pare Brahmani Kopina Magna. So this is Balastava Krita Sakta. This is the young age Krita Sakta. That means most of the time engaged in playing and some activities, games. Maybe the games may be a little bit different. Previously some games, now video games, audio games, different games. Only the flavor is different, but they're still the games. So Balastava Krita Sakta. So you ask the boys, oh no, we are very busy, very busy. We don't have time to play. We don't have that much time to play. You know? So they are worried actually. Balastava Krita Sakta, Tarunastava Taruni Sakta. When you become a little bit older, you completely the thing changes actually. Tarunastava Taruni Sakta. The young man looking for a young woman, so like they just want to. So Tarunastava Taruni Sakta. You go and ask them, okay, now you have to take to Krishna. Oh no, we are very busy. We are setting up the family. We are very busily engaged in raising this thing. No, that's Vriddhastava Chinta Magna. Vriddhastava. When you become old, what happens? All the worries, anxieties, oh, this has to be married, that has to be married, we have to get the job, we have to do this, we have to give education. All these different worries are coming. And Pare Brahmani, Kopina Lagna. Pare Brahmani, Supreme Lord, and what is the purpose of life? There is nobody to think about that actually. No? The whole life is revolving around this thing only. Balastava Krita Sakta, Tarunastava Taruni Sakta, Vriddhastava Chinta Magna, Pare Brahmani Kopinam. Because this is like a whole affairs are going on like this only. So that is why Prahlad Maharaj's teaching is, we are going to see in the next whole chapter is Prahlad Maharaj's teaching, is Prahlad Maharaj doesn't want to waste even a single moment of time. Single moment of time he doesn't want to waste. So that's he is going to instruct that. So today's verse is it's like the teachers went, and then Prahlad Maharaj was called by these boys. Okay, now let us play. So Prahlad Maharaj his situation is very, very unique situation. Sometimes we complain like, oh, the situation is not very favorable for taking up to Krishna consciousness. Sometimes people give this argument, why you didn't take to Krishna consciousness? Because it was a very favorable situation. Look at Prahlad Maharaj's situation. He was in the womb of the mother. It was not a very favorable situation. Womb of the mother is a very compact situation, you can't do anything, but even at that time also he could take to Krishna consciousness, he could absorb all the instructions of Narada Muni, he could absorb everything actually. So the Krishna consciousness it's not coming from outside. See, already the Krishna consciousness is inside, and it is invoked by the contact with the pure devotee of the Lord. So it is automatically happening by the blessings of Narada Muni. So he tolerated so many things. Surrounding him, everybody is a demon only. He was not a very comfortable sadhu sangha retreat or satsanga retreat. Nothing is available for him actually. He is completely surrounded by demons, surrounded by all the materialistic people. But still, he didn't lose his enthusiasm. He didn't compromise anything. He didn't compromise anything about his Krishna consciousness and also others' Krishna consciousness also. See, he was so much fixed. Even Prahlad Maharaj is, after this is like coming in the later chapters, Prahlad Maharaj is, you have to see how he has understood the emergency of the situation. Like Srila Prabhupada always says, the house is on fire. When the house is on fire, you have to be, you can't just say, oh, whether I have been trained, I have been certified, I have been done. No need of all of this. But you have to do something to contain the situation. So same way, our situation here, in the Prahlad Maharaj says in the later prayers, I just want to remind this prayer, how he is concerned about this. Okay, here in the seventh canto, we are going to cover the 9th chapter. Oh, best of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence. Who is saying this? Hare Krishna. Who is saying this? Prahlad Maharaj. This is very easy question. Please listen carefully. Oh, best of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence. For wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them. So this is Prahlad Maharaj. He is not concerned about him, he is telling Narsinghadev. Narsinghadev has given darshan. I am not that worried. And he goes on to say, I am not ready, I don't want to come to Vaikuntha. Actually, if anybody wants to, if somebody given a ticket to Vaikuntha, you will just jump into the Pushpak Vimana. But Prahlad Maharaj says, no, I don't want to come to Vaikuntha. Why? Why Prahlad Maharaj didn't want to come to Vaikuntha? Any idea? Why he doesn't want to come to Vaikuntha?
Because he wants to break the whole activity.
Yeah, he wants to take everyone to Vaikuntha. See, that's why in the next prayer he says, my dear Lord Narsinghadev, I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance, not caring for big cities and towns. They go to Himalayas or the forest to meditate with the vows of silence, Mauna Vrata. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone. Prahlad Maharaj doesn't want to go alone. He says, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals, I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to shelter at your lotus feet. So this is the same mood, Srila Prabhupada's mood also. You can understand and appreciate how much Srila Prabhupada had understood the emergency of the situation actually. So understood the emergency of the situation. He could have happily sat in Vrindavan, no problem. What is the problem for him to go back home, back to Godhead? Nothing actually. He could have simply gone back home, back to Godhead. But he didn't do that. Anyway, this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, Guru Maharaja's mission, that's all there. But still, he wanted to come because Vaishnava is a Paradukka Dukhi. Paradukka Dukhi means if somebody else is unhappy, the Vaishnava becomes very unhappy. The opposite to the material world. Material world is somebody, oh, you are suffering, oh, good, you keep on suffering. Your car is broken, very good. Like that is the type of mood. The material mood, you are suffering means that is my happiness. But spiritual thinking is, oh, he is suffering. Okay, so what can I do? What can I do to mitigate this suffering? What can I do so that I can reduce his suffering? So that is and for doing that, you should know what is the cause of suffering. What is the cause of suffering? Hare Krishna. What is the cause of suffering? That's why you have to be, I said, attentive. If you are attentive, then you can follow. What is the cause of suffering? No, you know everything. What is the cause of suffering? What is the cause of suffering? Hare Krishna. What is the cause of suffering in this material world? Okay, that's all right. So, what is the cause of suffering? Yeah, but Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Dosha Anudarshanam. Yeah, birth, disease and old age. And over and above that, the forgetfulness of Krishna. That is the cause of suffering. Everything is there. All the facilities are there. There is no problem, no scarcity. Nothing is problem. But what is the main problem? The scarcity of Krishna consciousness. That's why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj says, there is no scarcity of doctors, engineers, this, that, this. No scarcity. Everybody, enough people are there. Enough, now artificial intelligence has come. So many things. So many things are happening. But what is the scarcity? Is preachers. Like Prahlad Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Like this is Acharyas. So that is why this is like a very, very important. So that's why he says, no, I don't want to play. I don't want to play here because this is like a very prime time. This time is given. Avyakta kalatvam. Avyartha kalatvam. This is like one of the characteristics mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion. This time, wastage of time is very, very valuable actually. If you just waste the time and then it becomes, it's like a loss. Chanakya Pandit says in the Chanakya Nidhi, it's a very, Srila Prabhupada quotes this very often, there is life and we are preparing for the next life, that is real knowledge. We should not waste our valuable life whimsically. That is the instruction of the Vedic literature. Don't spoil it. Even an ordinary moral instruction by one Chanakya Pandit says, Ayusha Kshanako Ekopi na labhya swarna kotibhihi. Even moment of life spent cannot be regained for millions of gold coins. Therefore, what great loss is there when time spent uselessly? So this is very, very important for us. Very, very. No, we are not Goswamis. We are not like a big Acharyas. But still, whatever time in our control, we have to utilize that properly. Whether it is a 1 minute time, 1 hour time, or some time, whatever time you spend, that time is going to be the very valuable. That is what the time is going to count when we are going to kick the bucket. So, whatever time we have spent in thinking about the Lord, doing some devotional service, some hearing, some kirtan, this time, this is the real credit for our section. Nothing else will help. Nothing else is going to help us actually. So many people have so much money, so much, all the capacity, everything is there, but if they have not spent this time in remembering the Lord, then it's very difficult actually. But on the other hand, even if you spend little bit of amount of time, swalpam abhyasya dharmasya, even little bit of time also you spend, that is going to be your greatest benefit. Strayate mahato bhayat. So it will help us. So that is why it is very, very important that we learn that value of time. In Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, there is a nice verse, Srila Prabhupada quotes that sloka, Ayurharati vaipumsam udayan astam cha yanashu tasyarte ekshana nita uttama sloka vartaya. Both by rising and setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time in discussing the topics of all good personality of Godhead. So this is sun is rising and sun is setting. So now 31st of May, finished, 2023, now you can't do anything. That's it, the day is gone. So at least within this time, whatever little we can do to enhance our Krishna consciousness, to improve our Krishna conscious life, then that is beneficial. We don't know. We may kick the bucket today, tonight, or tomorrow. We don't know. So at least if we can do that today, and then that is going to be our credit. That will be into our account actually. So that's why it's what is asked, this in the same sloka, I say, Bhagavad Gita kinchita dita ganga jalalava kanika pita sakritapi yena murari samarcha kriyate tasya yamena sarcha. Bhagavad Gita kinchita Gita, even little bit of Bhagavad Gita, not you don't have to leave volumes and volumes of chapters, you don't have to read. Even little bit of Bhagavad Gita reading, Bhagavad Gita kinchita dita ganga jalalava kanika pita, even little bit of Ganges water. Sakritapi yena murari samarcha, at least little bit of discussion about Murari, Krishna, Lord, we just little bit of, then what will happen? Then you don't have to have an appointment with Yamaraj. Who wants to have appointment with Yamaraj actually? Nobody wants to have a appointment. Actually, Yamaraj is not a very bad person. Yamaraj for a devotee is a very, very pleasant personality actually. For demons and people who are sinful nature, for him Yamaraj is like a police. The police is like a police, we are not afraid of police, one sense, because police is there to help us. Same way Yamaraj is there, and for a devotee, Yamaraj welcomes actually. When a devotee comes, Yamaraj becomes very happy. He is one of the Mahajan. When he sees a devotee engaged in devotional service, he immediately welcomes him. So your path is not here. You are going up to the Vaikuntha or Goloka Vrindavan. You don't have any duty here actually. So that is why we have to use the time properly. So this is, Srila Prabhupada says in that purport, very, 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 the whole process he has explained. This verse indirectly confirms the greater importance of utilizing the human form of life to realize our lost relationship with the Supreme Lord by acceleration of devotional service. So look at Prabhupada's use of words. It's a very, it's saying, it's not like engage, it's acceleration of devotional service. Time and tide wait for no man. So the time indicated by the sunrise and the sunset will be uselessly wasted if such time is not properly utilized for realizing identification of spiritual values. Even a fraction of the duration of life wasted cannot be compensated by any amount of gold. Human life is awarded to a living entity, Jiva, simply so that he can realize his spiritual identity and his permanent source of happiness. A living being, especially the human being, seeking happiness because happiness is the natural situation of the living entity. But he is vainly seeking happiness in the material atmosphere. A living being is constitutionally a spiritual spark of the complete whole, and his happiness can be perfectly perceived in spiritual activities. So this is Srila Prabhupada continues in that Ayur Harati Shloka purport. So much information is given, and this is Goswami say the same, avyartha kalatvam. Avyartha kalatvam. This time wasted is very, very dangerous actually. So Goswami is like all their time of sleeping is only 2 hours. Not even less than 2 hours. And sometimes not even, Prabhupada says sometimes not even that actually. So they are engaged. What were they engaged? They are engaged in lokanam hitakarino. What can I do? For the other people, we can do something. We have got some benefit, we have got some association, so they just lokanam hitakarino. Manye. So that is why their whole aim was not just like their benefit actually. Like Prahlad Maharaj's mood also, not his benefit, all the benefit of all this, my classmates. I want to take all of them to Vaikuntha. So that is the same mood of the Goswamis, where Srila Prabhupada says, whether my time has been spent uselessly. We have to ask this question. This is like every time we have to ask ourselves this question, whether whatever morning to evening, what time, how did we spend our time, whether anything fruitful, whether anything in devotion. Otherwise, we may be doing so much activity, so much of big things, but everything will be shrama evahi kevalam. Bhāgavatam is heavy, so you may be big thing, but this activity does not invoke or attraction towards the Supreme Lord. That activity is a useless labor only. So we have to use the time properly. And here, Srila Prabhupada says, and instead he wanted to utilize every moment for advancing in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, as indicated in this verse by Kritakshanai, so he is looking for opportune moment. The boys are looking for an opportune moment to play. And Prahlad Maharaj is looking for an opportune moment. So when the teachers go out, now I can start discussing with them. Both are looking for opportune moment. There is nothing wrong in that. So Prahlad Maharaj is waiting when these fellows, Santa Amaraka will go away, so that we will start our class. And the boys want to play. No, say, no, we are not going to play. We are going to discuss some deep subject matter. So he is going to explain like the human form of life, how it is obtained. We can't waste this time. So, and Krishna Prahlad Maharaj uses the time as follows. Then we are going to discuss in that next few chapter. Next chapter is Prahlad Maharaj's teachings only. So here, this way, Srila Prabhupada's mood, Prahlad Maharaj's mood, all the Acharyas' mood is the same actually. Their mood is how, because they are themselves, they can come back to garden. No problem for them. But their main worry is how we can give, because you got a medicine and you know the efficacy of the medicine. Now you want to give that to others also. Not just lock it and keep it in lock and key that nobody can touch it. Not like that. So Srila Prabhupada came and then gave all these things. So that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu calls this as a paropakar. So paropakar is a very nature of the human being. Animals, they don't do much paropakar. Okay? They just eat, they just go and they look after themselves actually, to some degree. But paropakar is like we have to give people something so that we can mitigate the suffering. So that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Bharata Bhumite Manusya Janma Hoilaja Janma Sartha Kari Karo Paropakar. Janma Sartha. First, before doing Paropakar, first we have to know. We have to know what is Paropakar, what is the best thing we can give it to people actually. Because without knowing what is to be given, then if we give something, we may give something wrong also. Like the same way when we go to Srila Prabhupada explains, you go to some disease-affected area, you have to be vaccinated first, then only you can go there. Now we all know about the vaccination and all these things. So same way, we have to, before doing paropakar, we should know what is the real paropakar you can just give some material comforts, those things are good. No, we are not denying that. But we have to give them a way by which they don't have to come back again to this material world. So that help you can do, then you become very, very dear to the Lord. Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, a person is like who is trying to distribute this knowledge, he has become very, very dear to him. For his journey is guaranteed actually. So that way, by doing preaching, we are doing ourselves a favor. Ourselves a favor. Because what happens by preaching, whether the other person listens or not, that's a different thing. First, preaching, we are preaching to us actually. When you say you should not smoke, then I should not smoke. When you don't do this, then that is a preaching for me actually. Then by doing this, what will happen is you are doing some work for Krishna. Krishna becomes very happy. He says, in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that person who tries to distribute this knowledge becomes very, very dear to him. There is no one who is very dear to him than that person. So this is like then that person Krishna personally looks after. So this is very, very, very solid way of going back to God. If you take up to preaching, you try to understand. Janma sartha kari, we read Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, then we try to understand the knowledge and then try to do abhyasa and then practice it and then try to give the knowledge. Then we also become in the good books of Krishna. So Krishna will look after us also. So this is a best way of utilizing time. We have so many time management, all these things, but this time management is like very important. And that's why Prahlad Maharaj is going to teach us in the rest of the next chapter how the time should be utilized, and we can't afford to waste the time, and it's really for us actually. How morning to evening, or how people have to work 8 hours, they have to work. What can you do? You have to still work. But whatever remaining time you have, even that time you can effectively utilize that. That way, it's otherwise this our situation will be like wasting time, and then after that lamenting, like we're just lamenting, oh, what happened to that, what happened to that. So then we can avoid that situation. So stop here. If there is any questions or comments. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada. Thank you for the nice class.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the nice class, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you mentioned when Prahlad Maharaj's friends would call him to play with him, he would say no. So, and he wanted every second for Lord Krishna. So
you were asking, you have to do the same thing?
So I'd like to ask, when I see myself, I don't have any qualities like him. Wherever and whenever I get a chance, I just want to play. So what is the hope for me? Like, we don't preach much and we don't have the faith.
So this is a good question, because Prahlad Maharaj is like we can't become Prahlad, but at least we can follow in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj. He's a great Mahajan, because this is like Prahlad Maharaj had a ardent desire from the very beginning. So Narada Muni gave him the whole this thing. So at least it is an instruction for us. Yes, we also, you have to, as a children, we have some time for playing also. So we are not completely saying that, but what we should do is, even the play also, there is many ways of Krishna conscious plays also there. See, correct? We have like a lot of Matajis are expert, when some birthday parties or something happening, they have some play, but there is some connection with Krishna. Everything has a connection with Krishna. We have to find out the connection. That's what we are here. Why we are in the material world? We are in the material world. We have to find out the connection, how we can connect with Krishna. So that type of play is all right. Okay, so it's not like completely like all the time sitting in here. That is not the instruction here. Play is okay, but not frivolous play. It's a frivolous play. It's just like wasting time. You don't gain anything intellectually. You don't get physically. You don't get anything. Just keep on pushing the buttons, like that type of game. You don't get anything. So that game is not. So game, if we can remind us of Krishna. Sometimes devotees have some fun games also there, and you can do that. That is allowed. So we slowly and steadily, whatever time we have, even few friends are there. If somebody is favorable, then we can talk about Krishna. Some pastimes of Krishna we can discuss. So there is nothing harm in that, provided the circumstances permit you. Because we don't want to go in the school and create a big scene there. We don't want to do that. But whatever is your capacity, you can do that. Any comments on that?
Yeah, you've got to be careful. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita not to disturb the minds of the ignorant.
Yes.
Right? Our children, when we restrict them from playing, they'll just become angry. Right? So it's interesting, in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna recommends there's a sequence, or there's a steps that can be taken to enhance our bhakti.
Yes.
Because even though we say that the Goswamis slept only an hour or two a day, if any of us tried to sleep 1 or 2 hours a day, we'd all go nuts.
Yeah.
So it's got to be appropriate to what we can, what our adhikar is, what our capacity is to hold in terms of bhakti. So in the 12th chapter, Krishna recommends a variety of steps that can be taken before one comes to the point of full, sadhana practice. And a lot of that's going to depend on taste, how much.
Yeah.
We've got to get a higher taste out of what we're doing. Otherwise we'll just see it as a burden. So it's quite delicate. It has to be handled delicately, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
If we say to our children, no play, only talk about Krishna, they won't be able to do it, right?
Yeah.
So, as you say, we add Krishna into our lives so that we're making progress and not being offensive at the same time also. So we have to be aware of ourselves and the level at which where we're at in that continuum, and then take the next step, the next step, the next step. And as you say, Prahlad Maharaj is a unique person. He was being attacked. When I gave class the other day, he was being attacked by the demons with weapons, and their weapons weren't touching him.
Yep.
Right? Now, none of us are in that elevated. Well, maybe might be some exceptions here, but we're being attacked by somebody, and we're not. I remember when I went on Harinam and somebody punched me, then they hit me all right. It wasn't that Krishna protected me by, stopping their... Yeah. So, but Prahlad Maharaj is so exalted that he's uniquely protected. So it's a challenge, getting the balance.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Because... Sibya might get in trouble going to school and, as you say, telling you, okay, now we've got to talk about Krishna.
Yeah.
No playing. She won't have any friends.
Yeah, that's... Correct.
So it's very interesting, actually, because, we are in the material world, right, but have our spiritual aspirations. And we want to progress our spiritual life, but at the same time we've got to work with all types of people, right? So got to protect ourselves and be progressive, but at the same time also be accommodating of others for practical purposes, right?
Yeah. See, that's interesting. That's the reason Prahlad Maharaj also didn't want to straight away go, because he knows this. All the other fellows, they are not in the same level of consciousness like him. So they have to develop their consciousness and then take. Because if Prahlad Maharaj only goes, then these fellows will remain like that only. So he wants to kind of.
And you see it in. We might teach, meditation for. Calming the mind and becoming peaceful and but really we chant Hare Krishna not to become calm and peaceful. I mean that's a byproduct, right? Brahma Bhuta Prashanatma, right? But we chant Hare Krishna to become Krishna's servant. And we also know that becoming Krishna's servant doesn't always mean that life is going to be peaceful. So, requires a bit of maturity, actually.
Yeah.
Intelligence.
Use that. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Yes, Prabhu? Good.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, quick question. You know how you gave example of Prahlad Maharaj and Prabhupada, how they wanted to protect everyone and they wanted to uplift everyone, whoever is there. But on the other hand, when you see Parikshit Maharaj, when he was cursed, he could counter that curse, but instead, and there was Kali was coming at that time, but he chose to utilize the time for, his self-realization. How do we see like two pure devotees, doing different things?
Yeah, Prahlad Maharaj, so Parikshit Maharaj's case, Parikshit Maharaj also had another intention. Actually, Parikshit Maharaj is interesting. Parikshit Maharaj was saved. In the womb of Mother Uttara, he was saved. But he was not saved because so that Śrīmad Bhāgavatam can be spoken. So this is another way to understand this. Like Krishna can save anyone, any point in time. For him to go get into the womb and save Parikshit Maharaj, what is the difficulty for him to save while he is standing there? He could have saved him, but for a higher purpose, so that Śrīmad Bhāgavatam can be spoken and the glories of Parikshit Maharaj comes out. So that's the reason why Parikshit Maharaj didn't counteract. He had the capacity to counteract. He is a pure devotee of the Lord. He could have counteracted, but he didn't want to do that. Devotee is very humble. He always thinks, I am at fault. So completely opposite. Like a material world, I am right. You are wrong. But devotee always thinks, okay, I might have done something wrong. Even some other problem comes to me, what the devotee thinks? Devotee thinks, I have done a lot of sinful activities. Krishna is giving me a token reaction. But other fellow thinks, why am I going through all these difficulties? So they blames God, but devotee doesn't blame God. So the reason why Parikshit Maharaj didn't do that was Śrīmad Bhāgavatam can be spoken. So that's it. One second.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I was appreciating when you mentioned the different acharyas trying to, the main motive is to create or facilitate ways to uplift people. So in that, it took me to understand, or trying to reconcile that each acharya, in our Sampradaya, for example, they have the specific mood, even the 12 Mahayanas that we mentioned sometimes. Each one of them, they have their own ways and mood how to progress or try to facilitate people. Yes. How we can also reconcile that variety of ways, and not just in our Sampradaya, because also in other religions, in other spiritual traditions, there are also pure devotees and acharyas trying to uplift with the same purpose. Uplift the consciousness of people. So how we can reconcile all of that without getting deviated with forms? So
yes, Mataji, that's why. So for us, Srila Prabhupada is our example. Like that, other acharyas, as you mentioned, like the other acharyas also. Even in our sampradaya also, there are some acharyas. They may not be going out and preaching, but by their exemplary behavior and character, they are preaching actually. So preaching doesn't mean that just like a giving talk, that is not only preaching, by just their exemplary behavior. So that's preaching is happening also. So like other sampradayas, they have, like in our sampradaya, we have chanting of the holy name, and other sampradaya also they have other ways of like a deity worship is there, and so they give a little bit of prominence to other methods of devotional service. So that way also. So we are in a particular situation, we have to go to the next level, slowly. So how to take that person from one level, next level. So gradually how to take that is the purpose. All the acharyas' mood is like that only. So we are not, as Prabhu said, we are not in the direct, may not be able to imitate all the Goswamis, imitate Prahlad Maharaj. We may not be able to imitate them. But in our condition stage, okay, we need 8 hours sleep, we have to 8 hours sleep. But then after remaining that, what was 16 hours, how do we do devotional service? That much we can worry about that. We can't worry about like how Raghunath Das Goswami was sleeping 1.5 hours, that we can't do that also in our conditioned state. So we have to understand like a different acharyas, like even other sampradaya also, they are also doing preaching work. That's why we are not just saying we are the only. Some religions, they have, we are the only way. We are not saying we are one of the ways. So we are all. Srila Prabhupada, when he was in America, then they asked, Swamiji, why you came here? So then they said, we just want to give the message of God. And then, we all have to chant Hare Krishna? No. If you have a religion, if you have a concept of God in your religion, if you have a holy name of God, then you chant your holy name, whatever holy names given in your religion, you chant that also. So Prabhupada was not sectarian, do this only. If you don't have a religion, if you don't have a concept of God, then you chant Hare Krishna. I am giving you this, you chant that also. So that is that way we can understand that.
In the case of Prahlad Maharaj, for example, instead playing with the classmates, he was preaching. But also we understand that Krishna likes to play, and part of his interaction with his associate, he chose to be a young boy playing in a playful mood. So through playing can be also another way to get Krishna conscious
question was playing. Playing is, the play itself is not a problem actually. What do we play actually? Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also playing, Nityananda Prabhu was also playing. They were enacting all the dramas of all the Krishna's pastimes. So that type of play that is needed actually. That is very much needed. But our playing is just like playing with a video game, this one, that one. It doesn't give any material benefit also, just some kind of, what do they call? Zombie. That type of thing. So that is not needed actually. So that is not remind. See, anything reminds of Krishna, whether it is, whatever it may be. It can be a play also. Like I've seen sometime our Guru Maharaj, when you throw the ball, sometimes playing ball only, but you have to say one side Gauranga, other side, select the different holy names of the Lord, and you can play like that also. No, it's not, play is not, we are not against playing, but there are some Vaishnava plays are also there, like wrestling and some kind of things. They are all like bona fide actually. We can do that. But what this frivolous play, the playing, no material benefit, no spiritual benefit, why do we do that actually? That type of play is not recommended actually. Prabhu, somebody asked a question. Yes, Prabhu, sorry.
What you mentioned was about aware that other provinces devoting is not wasting time.
Yes.
And
so we try to be focused and we try to utilize our time as much as possible, but because we don't have that taste for Krishna consciousness, then sometimes our mind tends to get spaced out, or sometimes we are not quite focused or efficient in our services, and so we always kind of keep falling off that principle of we should not be wasting time.
Yeah.
So what are some of the
You have to keep remembering only, keep remembering, yes. See, this is like, this as you said, like as Prabhu mentioned also, like the Goswamis, if they have 1.5 hours sleep, they were still okay, because they were in the completely, they will just continue their devotional service much more vigorously. But if we do that, then we will be like a completely knocked off. Maybe one day we will be able to do that, and the next few weeks we may not be able to do that actually. So that is, what at least practically what we can do, like see, somebody is like, you have to do other activities, we have to do other activities also, but within that time also, whatever 8 hours or 6 hours, effectively we can do that. And sometimes like this, how to keep ourselves engaged all the time, that is a big challenge actually. Like we have to have some Krishna conscious activities or something, whether it's a hearing or some music or some reading, all these things. For us, this is like a reading from Bhagavad Gita to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam to Chaitanya Charitamrita. There is a variety there. So it's not like always, sometimes people say it's monotonous. No? It's not like, so sometimes you can hear some music, sometimes you can learn slokas, and sometimes you can read by BTG. This is like various activities are there. And sometimes we can, other things also, that is why we have to scratch our brain in such a way how we can use them and how we can give this Krishna consciousness to us and others also. Anything. See, like now so much equipments are there, so much electronics and all the gadgets are there, so we can use all of them. And you can use these things, and then how we can keep in touch with people. And so but bottom line is we have to wastage of time. That we have to avoid that. And also, if there is some mistake or something, like unknowingly we have some mistake, Krishna will correct us also. It's not like we are like if there is I heard somebody say, like one devotee was going in the street, he was a little bit morose. Somebody out of the blue comes and, hey, devotees are supposed to be happy, why are you morose? Because Krishna will correct you also. So it's not like we are not alone. Krishna, because we depend on Krishna, and Krishna also sometimes sends his representative to correct us also. So we have to be, at least we have to be receptive to this, all the comments and criticisms. Like then we'll be okay. So time is like a very, very important thing. How not to. Sometimes the mind goes here, sometimes mind goes there. Yeah, it is difficult, but somehow we have to bring it. Like in the 6th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, yeah, mind may go like that only. We have to shanai, slowly and steadily we have to bring it back. And then like look at Srila Prabhupada's life, 24/7. Nothing else other than Krishna only. Always talking about Krishna class, lecturing and purports and this. So that is very elevated situation. We may not be able to imitate that. We may not be able to come to that platform. We may not even come at all. But at least we can appreciate that. That is the way they have spent their time. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Grantara, today is Ekadasi, Nirjala Ekadasi, so Hare Krishna. Thank you. Grantara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.